Amen Thompson can't shoot. He can only kind of dribble, but he's probably better than your favorite young player.
Let's talk about the best player on the Houston Rockets.
I want to preface this conversation by saying, besides Amen Thompson's parents, Amen Thompson's siblings, Amen Thompson's cousins, I would say grandparents, but I think I got them beat. There's nobody in this world who is a bigger Amen Thompson fan than I am.
Yo, that's crazy. Does he have any siblings? I don't know.
He's got one. That's all I know.
Well, I
probably got him beat.
But hey, yeah, shout out to Asar. But Amen's the topic today. I'm not the biggest Amen Glazer in the world. For you, while this experience it's probably been pretty transcendent to watch. You're like, you see him on the horizon and you're like, that's going to be a star. And it's just getting closer and closer. And like the details are coming more into focus. And now it looks like a star. For me, guy who wasn't paying attention, I just looked over into Houston one day. I was like, yo, this guy's pretty good.
Who's this guy jumping so high?
This guy's pretty sick. Have you seen? He's so fast, dude. When he gets the ball in transition, it's crazy. So, yeah, he's playing incredibly well, though, right now.
Exactly. So today, as you guys see by the title, we are here to talk about Amen Thompson, perhaps the most unique young player in the NBA. He's taken the NBA by storm right now, especially after this last game in which they beat the Boston Celtics, reigning champs, off the back of a Dylan Brooks masterclass, first and foremost. Ooh. And also an Amen Thompson, I guess you can call it a breakout game in terms of like the national media noticing.
Definitely.
It ended with a game-winning jump shot from Amen. The story right now is this guy is quickly changing the way the Houston Rockets look, especially in these past 15 games in which he's been starting. They're 12-3 in games he started this year. And in those games in which he's a starter, he's averaging 17.5 points, 10.9 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.5 blocks, and 1.9 steals. He is straight up electric. And we got to talk about today what makes him so good, how it changes the Rockets' long-term plans and short-term outlook, how he compares to other players that you consider peers, all of that. Full-on breakdown into Amen.
Hell yeah. So guys, lock in. I did like you saying breakout game in terms of the media, where it's like they beat the Cavs back to back, like really impressive wins. Radio silence. And they beat the Celtics in the Garden, and everybody's like, "Holy shit, these guys are for real. This is a good player." And so, he's been on a tear lately. Absolutely, though. Kind of coming. I totally forgot that Jabari Smith Jr. got hurt for them.
Yep.
And so they've in the absence of him needing some more size and some more front court depth, they have leaned on Amen more heavily. Pretty immediate spike in like minutes per game with that injury and everything, and he's stepped into the spotlight in a very interesting way. He provides a lot of, he was already providing a lot of what like this Houston's team identity was in terms of like his athleticism, the plays that he makes defensively, how he gets out and runs, all of that shit I feel like is instrumental to how this Houston team operates. But in recent weeks, they've just been emboldening him more and more to go and do everything that he's good at, and it's pretty sick.
Yeah, with the first 20 games of the season, or 30 games, whatever it was before the Jabari Smith injury, him and Tari Eason, like, were the best players on the team besides the stars coming off the bench. You know, they were really completely slanting the on-off numbers because you had such amazing wing players coming off the bench that, like you said, it really made up a big part of their identity when they were on the court, but they weren't starting. And then as soon as he gets the opportunity, like you said, with Jabari going out, he takes opportunity and runs with it. That's exactly what you want to see from a player who's ready to break out. A lot of young guys, we give them years. It's wait till he's 22, give him time to develop. He needs a
maybe
fair
some
chance,
guys, some guys on this team, you know,
potentially.
Maybe some other players on the Rockets are like that. Who knows?
There's a lot of crying about players not being in the right situation, not getting the right opportunity, their coach holding him back, the fit holding him back. When you have a really transcendent player like Amen Thompson, none of that matters. This team does not fit him particularly well. He's making it work because he wants it better than everybody else. Like this roster doesn't scream, we need a wing who can't shoot, that needs the ball a little bit. Like that doesn't make sense for the natural fit of this talent, the natural fit on this team. And he wasn't given a ton of touches to come in and be the like point guard he was drafted to be. Instead, he's morphed himself into a do-it-all wing that's making it work despite the spacing limitations, despite the non-natural fit, because that's what you do when you're just extremely good. All that stuff comes secondary.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, if you're like upset because you're not getting runtime on your high school team, you just
cut
get
harder.
Like 45-inch vertical and like to run the full length of the court in 3.5 seconds, and then your coach will probably draw up some plays. For you. I think that'll happen.
Let's let's talk about this. Let's talk about the specific things that have made Amen so effective in this time. Because we've mentioned the fact the team's good, the fact that he's good, the fact that it doesn't even necessarily make sense that he's this good. So let's go piece by piece of his game and really talk about what's made him so special this year.
All right. I mean, there's really nowhere else to start but with the athleticism. Like, I don't know. Is there a better team?
This isn't just a good athlete.
Yeah.
This isn't just a good athlete. This is one of the best athletes the NBA has seen in the last 20 years. He is 1% of the 1%. It looks to me, there's been a lot of comparisons, right? On Twitter, people see a guard that doesn't really shoot, that's a really good defender, and they're like, oh, Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons.
I did that. I got in trouble. My timeline yelled at me. I'm sorry, everybody. And I was wrong. It's not a great comp. I'm wrong.
Well, no, I see why you got there, because he can't shoot, and he's a ball handler that passes and defends well. So playstyle-wise, in effect, it's not insane. But the way he moves is so much different. He is a million times more athletic, more aggressive than Ben Simmons was. To me, it kind of looks like a strong John Morant in his movement patterns. The way he's able to use that speed to really just blitz whatever amount of space he has. If somebody backs off him and leaves him in the paint, you can't do that. Because that's the Giannis thing where you have a full head of steam and he'll just like sprint as fast as he can and finish over the defense that's sitting down low in the paint. That's him. He has the exact amount of speed and vertical needed to where the lack of spacing doesn't really matter, because if you back off, that's not really a benefit to you as a defense.
Yeah, he can actually still run at full speed and go by you. Shout out to Hoop Venue on Twitter. I this was on his burner. It was like Tyler something. But I followed him for forever. His comp was a combo of Sean Marion and Dwayne Wade, and I really liked that a lot. Because Dwayne Wade and John Morant are very similar athletes in terms of like not just vertical explosion, which there's a ton of there, but they also really use lateral explosion as well. Like they gather and the hop step is 7 feet in the opposite direction and they're just jumping around everybody. Amen Thompson, when you see him like really dominate in transition, you get a lot of those flashes.
Exactly. And the horizontal speed, the vertical speed, the pop all translates to him being absolutely deadly as a downhill scorer. He currently shoots 61% from 2, 93rd percentile for wings, which is what he's classified as because he plays most minutes at the 3. 73% rim field goal percentage, the same as one Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Whoa.
44% mid-range field goal percentage, which is 71st percentile. That is pretty good. You know, he's labeled as a non-shooter. He's developed a midi this year, as we saw from that Celtics game where he hit that game winner.
Yes.
There's something there, some modicum of shooting that has some sort of dynamicism. Well, I keep saying that. Dynamism next to his vertical.
That one's too advanced for me. I'll never call you on dynamism versus dynamicism, but yeah.
And also, he draws a shooting foul on 18% of his shots, which is the best in the NBA, 100th percentile from wings. He is a free throw magnet.
Yeah. I don't know who started it, but there is like a growing trend where it's like free throw rate is it's a fun indicator to see who's going to become a star. Like guys who can consistently get to the line is just such an easy way to generate efficient offense. And Thompson, like the shooting thing, not a great free throw shooter right now, but pretty bad. Yeah, like 65, 66%. And so, but like just the fact that he's getting there is good. The fact that he's not contact averse, going back to the Ben Simmons comp, which again, it's not great. It is so relieving to see Thompson already so aggressive in the spots that ended up being Ben Simmons' downfall, where it's just like in terms of Ben Simmons' refusal to shoot from anywhere on the floor, refusal to take a jump shot. Amen Thompson is already kind of embracing that as like, it's going to be something that like, if I want to be a really good player, a really good postseason player in this league, that's going to be something that I at least have to be able to do serviceably well. And then being contact averse, Amen Thompson's fine going to the free throw line right now. He wants it bad every play. Yeah. And so, yeah, he's sick. I lost my
I'm glad you mentioned
thought.
that's the biggest difference between Ben Simmons, where the shooting was one thing. You need to be able to shoot. But there have been players in NBA history who cannot shoot and prove to be effective, especially when you have that size to be a force in the glass. You got that playmaking to be a guy that can get down low and create shots for others. Amen is all these things, but he is a million times more aggressive. Like you mentioned, he's not scared to go to the free throw line. That matters to me way more than willing to take open threes. He's currently a terrible three-point shooter. He's going to take them to develop. But despite the lack of free throw effectiveness, he wants it, like you said. And even if you're not going to be shooting well, the gravity you create as a slasher when you're willing to at least try and get downhill makes everything better for everybody. That makes up for the lack of efficiency as a shooter when you're at least collapsing the defense and creating. And man, does he collapse a goddamn defense. The way he cuts with that speed, outrageous. The way he runs in transition, outrageous. The way he kills teams on putbacks, outrageous. I got these stats pulled up. 77th percentile on putbacks, 67th percentile on transition, 69th percentile as a pick and roll ball handler, which is surprising whenever you're not a good shooter.
Yeah.
He's just pretty effective in a lot of key areas that you want from him, despite the fact that he's in year 2. And I'm going to say this. I want this is a nuanced phrase.
Okay.
He still sucks at basketball.
Wow.
He has not
Are
developed.
you kidding me? Oh my God, dude. What's wrong with you? You're a psycho.
Like, he's so good despite not really being good yet. He has not learned all the smart angles he's going to learn eventually. He has not learned all the correct passing reads that's going to make the passing we saw in OTE really translate more. He has not learned exactly how to get into the mid-range jumper from the exact right spots. Has not learned the exact right way to cut off of everybody. It's all super raw.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous athleticism and just ridiculous natural IQ. That's only going to get a lot better. You like to use the phrase, this is going to be the worst we've ever seen him be for his career. He's the perfect person to say that about because he's going to get a million times better from this.
Yeah, there are just so many places where it's like the fat's gonna get trimmed just by proxy of like practicing more with people and everything. Exactly. I think, well, first of all, going back to the free throw thing, you have brought this up a ton, just how being bad at free throws, moving your team towards the bonus is so important, and existing in the bonus as a team, it like makes you so much better at offense, several points better at offensive rating. For a team like the Rockets that like the offense is abysmal. It's genuinely terrible in the half court. Any like push they can get towards being in the bonus, towards any foul getting them to the free throw line is just so massive. It's like finding a bottle of water in the desert. And so that's one thing. But then also the cutting jumps out to me as well, where it's like there are lanes where he's either standing kind of waiting around for something to happen, or he's going at like 50-60%, where once he's like fully hitting these cuts at 100% and like getting himself open for the lobs that come with them, it's going to be like some of the most unstoppable basketball in the league. And that's also, there's not a ton of like great passers on the Rockets, which another thing we'll get to later, but overall, there's just a ton of room to grow with him.
Yeah. You mentioned the cutting, all that. He's incredibly impressive from the dunker spot, which is where he plays a lot of the half-court possessions you talked about. He's the 4-man in the starting lineup, and he sits down there like he's Serge Ibaka in 2012. And that is weird because he was drafted as a point guard in college, or in OTE, not actually college. And
never go to college, guys. You can figure it out yourself. You don't need to drop out if you're in right now. It's a waste of time and money. Start a podcast.
Exactly. Yeah, get to yapping. He plays like a power forward despite being 6'6" and not super huge, not super physically developed yet. He's doing all this, thriving, doing role player shit, staying in the dunker spot and using that athleticism and crazy vertical burst to catch dump off passes, do all this. Imagine when the handle develops, which is the biggest weakness we haven't talked about. He can't really dribble yet. That will get better, I promise you. When that happens and he can really do more and more on ball, plus the role player shit that provides easy points, this is going to be like a 25-point per game scorer very quickly.
Yeah. And I mean, when you talk about like the dunker spot and everything and the inability to dribble, these go hand in hand. The Rockets don't like run a ton of shit to like maximize his offense when you watch him. Yeah, there's like the plays maybe by like the end of the Celtics game when he's just been hitting them with a giant hammer that like he's a mismatch for everyone on this team and he's got it going. I've got the hot hand. Please do shit to help me. Beyond that, there's like so few plays where they like embolden him as either guy in the pick and roll. Like I love him as a roll man in the pick and roll, and it's just never used. There's so many possessions where if he's not in that dunker spot, he's just in the corner, kind of like waiting to crash the boards or whatever. And that really bails out the defense. It makes it so much easier to guard Houston as a whole, because at that point you can just stick a big on him and have the big kind of like wait to help over in the paint. They don't punish that much when they're not involving a man in the play.
Despite that, the team's offense in the half court is 5.4 points per 100 possessions better with him on the court. Despite, in the half court offense, what do you think of? You think of shooting because things are slow. Running doesn't matter as much. This is a transition specialist team. Half court, you need to slow things down, make reads, kick out to shooters. He doesn't shoot a lick, and he still makes them meaningfully better.
He's so athletic.
Court.
We do transition in the half court, baby.
That's
almost how athletic he is.
Literally it. You mentioned like sometimes it can be like a detriment to him that he's used as like a garbage cleanup man. That is the case in terms of his long-term ceiling. Eventually, when you see more on-ball stuff, but it's such an advantage in that half court that when you do have someone like Sengun dominating the ball, someone like Jalen Green dominating the ball, naturally, even though they have their strengths and weaknesses, teams are going to throw defensive tension at them. They're going to put 2 on the ball. They're going to blitz them, try to get the ball out of their hands. To have someone as physically talented as a man being the dump-off guy to attack small nooks and crannies off of double teams left open, that just makes it so much harder to deal with when you have... It's almost like the impact of having like a prime DeAndre Jordan lob threat under the rim for Chris Paul, where every time he comes off, he can throw it up to him and he's going to be able to get it if they help off him a little bit. That's kind of the feeling you get with the men when he's cutting off the corners and cutting from the dunker spot.
Yeah, and I think that's a real testament to his basketball IQ, which like that's one of the other things that really jumps out when you watch him. We've seen... I'm not going to say we've seen a bunch of guys as athletic as a men, but it's the NBA. There are we've seen tons of athletes come through the league. And I think oftentimes what separates like role players from guys who even start to knock on the door of being an all-star or all NBA or whatever is understanding how to use the athleticism in every aspect of the game. And Amen is pretty much already there. Like he is so good. Obviously the defense is one side of the ball we haven't even touched on yet, but the rebounding as well, like the athleticism and the timing to understand where the ball is going to be coming off of the rim. And, obviously he could just out leap guys, but you need to be where you need to be. And he's not super strong yet, which you already touched on. So like if a big man bumps him a little bit, he doesn't always have the advantage there. So to still go out there and just be completely dominant on the boards, 11 rebounds a game during this span, it's a real testament to his IQ.
11 rebounds a game at like 6'6" is crazy. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about defensive rebounding because that's currently probably the bigger strength. I got steal percentage and block percentage pulled up instead of raw just because his role hasn't been as consistent. 98th percentile block percentage for a wing. 80th percentile steal percentage for a wing. Crazy defensive activity, weaponizing that athleticism, like you said. 98th percentile offensive rebounding, 96th percentile defensive rebounding. That means he's like a top 3 or 4 wing in the NBA on the glass.
Yeah.
To everything we mentioned, all the amazing strengths as a scorer and complimentary player, defender, all this. And then you also add value as a ridiculous rebounder. Like these things we're mentioning are adding up, and we're really seeing a crazy, well-rounded player.
Yeah. And I mean, the offensive rebounding, like, I would say half-ish of Houston's whole attack in the half court is like, fuck it, throw it up, we'll get the board, and that'll like help us get that'll get us an easier shot. We'll get a dunk or a layup out of that or something.
Yeah, they're second in putback points in the league.
Yeah, and so like when he's not out there, when you lose that impact on the offensive glass, which they have a bunch of guys who are really good at it. It's not like he's just carrying that aspect of the game, but he's spectacular. And so when you don't have that impact out there, it really jumps out to you just how undermanned this team is at scoring the basketball.
Yeah, so all these things that helps offensively. He's also going to be your best perimeter defender in any lineup unless you have, I don't know, 3 other guys in the league. Unless you have Jalen Suggs or prime Alex Caruso. Like, unless you have one of the best players in the world.
Like, even then, it's like a toss-up. You're like, any given night. It depends on the matchup, really.
I feel like we're describing a player that, to me, you mentioned Hoop Venue's comparison was Dwayne Wade mixed with Sean Marion. I see a lot of Andre Iguodala in the way that he's this ball handling wing. So it's like Andre Iguodala with John Morant's athleticism and movement patterns, but more strength. That's a ridiculously valuable player that long term, like I guess the main point of this video is we describe all the ways he's good right now. He's incredibly talented, making the Rockets better as a starter. He's not giving up this position anytime soon. But the ceiling here is absolutely ludicrous. This player is going to get so much better. And just imagine the fully realized version of what I just described of this do-it-all wing that could also be the most athletic player on the court. Like, that sounds like fucking Scottie Pippen.
yeah. Scottie Pippen's not a bad comp either. It's like literally it doesn't necessarily feel like the next evolution of the wing in the NBA because the ball handling isn't there, because he's not like an elite 3-point shooter, all this stuff you expect from modern NBA players, but he slots very firmly into the mold of just like, okay, what's the reliable recipe for like a 15-year career, multiple time All-Star as like a 6'6", 6'7" guy? Just defend the shit out of the basketball and work really hard everywhere else. Finish dunks, get layups, do all the dirty work. Yeah, like
that's a good point. It's not prototypical at all. You're right. He's not J-Dub. He's not this off the dribble shooter, versatile defender, passer guy that like is a point forward traditionally. And that's why he's so interesting to me. He is the most unique young player in the NBA right now, besides Victor Wembanyama, who's
doesn't
unique,
count.
The best, whatever.
Literally, yeah. It's besides besides Wilt, no one's ever put up this stat line before, you know?
Besides Victor Wembanyama changing the game as we know it, he's the most unique player in the world because everything isn't prototypical. Like you said, you described role player shit. You said he has the prototype for creating a long career in the league, doing dirty work and stuff. You're right. But he also has super soldier serum in his goddamn veins. Yeah. So if you're just like the best role player by far, that it transcends role player value and you become a star off of doing a million small things, that's like super soldier Draymond Green. I don't know. Like I keep throwing out these crazy Hall of Fame names, but like I think the ceiling is insane in that way.
And it's also tough because it's tough to come up with a comp that feels like fair, feels like it doesn't set the stage to be, or like set the bar super high, because it's so rare that we see people with this combination of like basketball IQ and physical tools that don't end up being like a Hall of Fame-ish, like one of the players we remember, like one of the all-time greats. Who knows if that will happen, but absolutely, like it's just hard to come up with player comparisons for how good he is right now without dipping into the bag of people at that level.
Yeah, pretty much everybody that's one of the best athletes in the world, plus they have good IQ, plus they have work ethic. We didn't even mention that he's a complete fucking basketball nerd. He's not going to have Zion Williamson syndrome. He's going to be a dork that's locked in all summer, getting better and better.
That's sad.
You combine work ethic plus IQ plus insane body, it's like 100% hit rate unless your knees implode.
Yeah. It's crazy. Fuck. I was about to say something about his def. Oh, so going back defensively, one thing I really like about him is that super disruptive off the ball as well. Like you not only can he single-handedly take like all-stars out of basketball games, like it's just you're not Jason Tatum in the Celtics game, really, really rough night every time Thompson was in front of him. But simultaneously, when you go back to that thing I said about you can put a big on him if he's standing alone in the corner or whatever. On the other end of the floor, you're losing that battle, really, because he's like arguably the most disruptive off-ball defender in the NBA. So if you stick him on a player, if you let his matchup be a player that he doesn't have to just commit himself to at every moment when they're on the defensive end, he can just hawk the ball. He can play passing lanes. He can help over and block shots. He could do all of the stuff that like that more immediately lends itself to Houston getting out and running in transition and generating the offense that they've been able to win games with. So, yeah, it's like it's very hard for him to have a game where he's not massively impactful on the defensive end.
Yeah, high floor skills that there's no jump shot variance because there's no jump shot positivity to vary from.
Oh, he went 0 of 2 from 3-point range? We don't care, dude. It doesn't matter.
Plus 25 on the stat sheet anyways.
Hell yeah. That's funny.
But okay, so we're describing a player that's incredibly unique, incredibly valuable, and has an incredibly tantalizing ceiling because we can be as excited as you want because we haven't seen anything like this. So we could go higher and higher for all we know.
Ooh.
So let's play a game.
All right. Let's do it.
I'm going to name a series of young NBA players, levels 1 through 5, varying skills, varying value. You tell me who you would rather build around, Amen Thompson or this player.
Okay, let's get it.
So like long-term value, how good they are now, whatever you think about when you think about drafting a player like this, who you'd rather have.
All right.
This is going to be a little difficult. Level 1, Amen Thompson or Jonathan Kuminga?
Oh, Amen Thompson. I've never been Kuminga pilled, but
you shouldn't be.
Especially,
I think Amen Thompson's a slasher that Warriors fans wanted Kuminga to be.
Yes, yeah. And even offensively right now, I'd be like, probably Thompson. And so, like, add in the defense and everything. Yeah. I'm going Amen.
Okay, level 1's supposed to be easy. That's fine. Level 2, Amen Thompson or Jalen Williams?
Oh, I'm J-Dub pilled. I'm J-Dub to the
Me too.
max.
But listen, man, a men's ceiling. J-Dub's better right now. He'll probably be better for a few more years. I think he's closer to his ceiling, while a man could get 1,000 times better.
Yeah, I will go Jalen Williams here, but it's fine if you go the other way. That's not a hot take at all.
Yeah, I think a man has a higher ceiling. I'm willing to go there, even though I'm also president of the Jalen Williams fan club.
Well, you're president of every fan. You opened up. I'm the biggest cement glazer, everybody.
Yeah, these are my two biggest glazing takes. So.
Oh my god! Wait,
these two and Chet Holmgren are my two biggest glazing hills. Level 3, Alperen Sengun.
How is I'll go Amen Thompson here. It's fucked up that you put Jalen Williams on level 2 and Sengun on level 3. I'll say that much.
I thought it was. Listen, I agree. I'd rather have Jada, but I thought most people would consider Sengun better.
No, hey, I'm not most people. I'm different, but no.
Listen,
I'll go
I also
Amen.
think Amen has a higher ceiling. I would also pick him over his fellow teammate. I understand that's going to make some Turkish fans unhappy. This is soon going to be a men's team.
Hey, yeah. Shout out to Turkey. Shout out to Turkish coffee and everything. But Amen's
Shout out
here.
to the hairline transplants. Doing wonders for the world.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's important. It just doesn't make up for the vertical difference is all.
Nevertheless, we're rocking with America in this situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just pretend those were backward. Let's pretend Sengun was 2.
All right. We'll
Jalen
flip
was 3.
flop 'em.
Yeah. Level 4, Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, I will still go Amen here.
Ooh, that's tough.
I have never seen the vision to the same degree as other people with Maxey. I like him and I do think he's really good. It's just like the type of player he is without Embiid on the floor, I don't really like as much as the type of player I think Thompson is going to turn into.
Yeah. Tyrese Maxey is going to be, he's one of the best complementary scorers next to a superstar you could imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see a world where men could be a one option one day?
I feel like his skills, they benefit themselves more from being a number 1 option.
I think Tyrese Maxey might deserve the nod, but we can go men just to see what happens at level 5.
I have recency bias, so if something happened 45 minutes ago, I don't remember it. So, man, he's pretty much the GOAT right now, actually.
Level 5, Cade Cunningham.
I will go Cade here.
This is where it ends.
Yeah, this is where it ends, but the fact that, like, it doesn't feel insane to have a man in these conversations, I feel like that's the reward, you know?
Yeah.
After 15 games, you don't need to be taking people over the All-Star, but to open up the conversations, that's how good a men's looked lately.
Right now, it's crazy. Cade's much better, but this is about long-term value, and I could 100% see a world in 5 years. I can see a world in 2 years where Amen Thompson is a top 15, 20 player in the league, and this is a real conversation.
It's not crazy. It's not insane.
That's not ridiculous to say that. That's not ridiculous.
That's not ridiculous.
Okay.
Oh,
so we understand how good Amen is. We understand how good he is compared to some of his peers that we just talked about. So what do the Rockets do about this now? Now that he's clearly burst on the scene, this is going to be his team pretty soon, I think. The Rockets have a lot of young players, a lot of internal politics to figure out among those young players. What do you do if you're Rafael Stone and you run this team? How do you react to this?
Well, I would have done this anyways. It's just not really based on the Amen explosion. I've been on this train. Jalen Green, get out of here. I'm done. I'm over with the experiment. And it was already like that. Like I said, I'm not a huge Jalen Green guy, but specifically, him and Amen do not complement each other very well at all.
You don't think so?
No.
I think in theory, an electric off the dribble shooter that can get to the rim is somebody that Amen would make a lot better as a guy who can create open shots for somebody and can be the defensive anchor. But Jalen Green there's a lot of theory involved there in terms of actually being that player consistently.
Yeah, it's like theoretically, if I went light speed, I would never age, and so it's like, yeah, that's the math checks out there, but you can't do it. It doesn't exist, and so I don't know why we're having like that conversation's pointless to me. That's kind of how I feel about Jalen Green, where it's like, yeah, 15 games in March where he is the off the dribble shooter who explodes to the rim athletically, and he's 41% on 10 attempts a game from 3, whatever. It's cool. If we haven't seen it consistently now, I don't think it's really coming around, and I would prioritize building around Amen Thompson just because not only do I think the ceiling is higher, I think the path forward with him is just a lot clearer as well.
I also think if we get to see Reed Shepherd in year 2 and 3 when he's done with the rookie stuff and gets real minutes and develops, if he is as good as he was thought to be as a draft pick, absolutely perfect combination with the men. So like that ability is still there. Granted, we haven't seen any value from Reed yet, so you don't want to jump the gun too much and base any assessment on Jalen Green off of that. But yeah, man, I don't know. Jalen Green has stretches. Even recently, his early January stretch was quite impressive. You know why it was quite impressive? Because he shot fucking 42% from 3 instead of 35. Yeah. Every time he has a good stretch, it's because he shoots at a rate of being the best off the dribble shooter in the NBA, which is obviously something that he's not going to do consistently. He has not developed into Donovan Mitchell. He just masquerades that for a few weeks at a time.
Yeah.
He hasn't developed super well in other areas. He still can't pass. His defense is a little bit better, I guess, but it's not amazing. I don't know if focusing on a man means you have to trade Jalen, but I think the emergence of another premier talent there to play next to Sengun makes it so you don't feel bad at all if you do end up deciding to trade Jalen for whatever reason.
Yeah, I have some lineup stuff here to dip into my nerd shit.
Let's go.
So with Amen Thompson on the floor and Jalen Green off, they are a little under 1,000 possessions here. It's plus 14.5 points, which is massive with the men on the floor. The offense, they score more points per 100 possession. They're more efficient. They rebound massively more. Like Jalen Green, you don't expect him to be impactful on the boards, and he's not. Like, that's not surprising, but it's just a place where he is not providing impact at all. With Jalen Green on the floor and Amen off, they're at 1,400 possessions on that. The offense is worse. They score less. They're less efficient, and the defense takes a massive hit as well. I just feel like to me, it is directly connected. The moments where Jalen Green is on the floor and the lineups where Amen Thompson is standing in the corner waiting to crash the boards that I was talking about earlier. Like, I feel like those very much go hand in hand because he can't run a pick and roll. He's not a spectacular passer really from anywhere on the floor. And, he kind of dominates the ball. And that's not his fault specifically because Houston runs so much shit for him when he's on the floor. Like they're trying to get him cooking and everything. But it is like, that's just the way it is. Shout out to Tupac.
And what's interesting is Sengun and Thompson complement each other so well too. Like the the Sengun and Jalen Green 2-man game has always been what Rockets fans kind of envision being the bread and butter if and when they're a contender. Not really the case. You know, we have these
no idea.
Pairings.
How much I've heard this is our Murray Jokic 2-man game. It's like,
my God.
Well, both of these guys are bad. Well, I mean, let me chill, but it's like they're not as good as Jokic and Murray, and so what are we building towards here?
But in these lineups, when you have Sengun and Thompson together with Green off, plus 21 net rating. That's pretty good. 44% opponent effective field goal percentage for lockdown.
I think that'll do it. That'll do it.
I like it. I like it a little bit more than otherwise. And you don't have to trade Jalen. You can give him a chance. Maybe you could argue Amen is the type of player that can make him look better long term. So you want to put them at the hip. But I don't see Jalen Green being a player that can scale down. And if Amen's going to scale up, and if his handle continues to develop, God forbid the outside jump shot develops, then we're talking about unforeseen. Like the ceiling will be ridiculous. You're going to want to see Amen with the ball more and more as time goes on. That in of itself, that idea of empowering Amen more doesn't make Jalen Green more valuable because he doesn't do anything outside of having the ball in his hands.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been accused of being a Jalen Green hater, and I don't try to be. Like, it's cool when the 3-point variance stuff swings around his way and, like, he is a dominant perimeter guy. But at the same time, I just, like, it's so frustrating to me to hear the phrase, well, we don't have, like, we can run this experiment again. Or you said something along those lines where it was just like, we can give him another chance. I feel like they've just been spamming chances at him for this entire time. And now the roster's gotten to the point where they're like, okay, we're serious. You know, it's serious basketball time. We're the 2 seed. We're trying to maybe make a conference finals run or something. And the guy that we've just been giving chance after chance after chance, it's very realistic that he could hold them back in a postseason setting.
Yeah, we'll see. And so that's long term. That might be a conflicting area of interest and prioritization going forward. In the short term, they got to keep him starting, right? Like when Jabari Smith comes back, get ready to speak bench buddy. Is that or Dylan Brooks goes to the bench? Because You can't break up this momentum that he's currently had, right?
Oh yeah, no. To me, it's not just that they're playing great, and it's not just that he's cool right now. It's that Houston, for as long as they've kind of been in this rebuilding thing post Harden era, and for as many draft picks as they've taken and all that, they don't really have like super top tier of the league franchise cornerstone young players. And the fact that you're getting a flash of that with Thompson, that he could be something like that.
Got to empower that.
You need to pursue that, even if it like costs you the 3 seed or something, like whatever. To me, pursuing that is more important than a lot of other shit this season.
Yeah, and it's not taken away from him, so you're not really losing anything by pursuing that. It's not like he makes him worse than Jabari Smith Jr. does when he starts. So
yeah,
it's well worth the prioritization just to see what happens, especially in the playoff setting, as we're going to see later this year.
Yeah. To me, okay, if we're gonna trial by fire, I'd rather trial by fire Thompson than Jalen Green. Like I don't know.
I love how this has devolved into like, man, I think Jalen Green sucks.
I can't talk about the Rockets without I have no other idea how to approach the topic. That's all that just it's like I'm being punched in the face when I watch them play. I'm sorry.
Just misery.
And they're cool, it's there's just so many cool players, but they're forced to feed possessions to this guy. Whatever. I'm done hating. Let's keep it pushing. That's
what we need. We need to fill that void because I'm going to be too positive. Everyone calls me a glazer. I'm going to be that. So we need you to come in here and be like, yeah, this guy we're talking about, sick. I agree. That other guy we're not talking about, fuck him.
Fuck him.
By the way,
it's not fuck him. It's just, we're year 4 or whatever, and we're already having maybe a change of scenery discussions. And it's like, okay, dude. Yeah, I totally believe that. Whatever.
All right, man. So that's what the Rockets should do about this now. Let's play a game again.
Oh, okay.
Let's redraft the 2023 NBA draft class. Because I don't know if you know, but I don't know if you're familiar with this draft class. It involves Amen Thompson. Mm-hmm. It involves at least one other good player that
Brandon Miller
might be talked about. Yeah, one other guy.
It's the Brandon Miller draft, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we're redoing that one.
So let's talk about this obviously as a means to say, how high does Amen go? Knowing what we know now, seeing what we've seen now, we're going to do how we did when we ranked the top 10 players in the league. I'll get first pick, and then you'll get second pick, and we'll go back and forth until we build out a full top 10.
Okay, don't mess this up. This is, there's some options.
First pick, I'm going Scoot Henderson. First pick, obviously we'll go Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah. No, I mean, don't need to talk about it. It's Wemby. He's an alien. Number 2.
No more words.
Number 2, I will go Amen Thompson. I do feel like we're already here. We're even just how he's played lately, I feel like it's on par with everyone else. And then when you take the ceiling into account, kind of blows most other people out the water. At least people that we've seen real contributions from. There's other high ceiling picks lower on my list, but we have not really seen any concrete winning contributions from them.
Amen is currently the second best player on this list this year, pretty easily. Also, pretty easily has the second highest ceiling, I think. So, yeah, no brainer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, who you got at 3?
Number 3, I think there's one guy who's better than this person right now, but we're still drafting for ceiling. They're still so young. We could say, what can they be? I'm going Brandon Miller at 3.
Oh, okay. I'm fine with that. I do he's not even one of those guys that what can he be? I think him right now is really solid. Charlotte's not that good, and he obviously just had wrist surgery.
Kind of has some similarities to Jalen Green that we overlook because he's a little bit bigger and a little bit more likable for some reason. He is still a terrible rim finisher. I need to see that develop, but I think he has a higher defensive ceiling than Jalen Green by far. And he's so young still. Well, he's not that young. He's older than most people his age.
I know, old rookie.
He's 22. So early in his career. Yeah, he's so early in his career that I'm still going to take that swing because if it hits and he can be this do-it-all wing, that's insanely valuable.
Yeah, I can't wait till we're 50 because I feel like we're the first generation of people to call old rookie 22. So we'll just be 24. This guy's fucking ancient as I'm using a walker and stuff. But yeah, Brandon with the Miller Jalen Green thing, all I'll say is that Miller has moved me so much more as an off-ball, off-the-catch shooter already that I don't think either will be my number one option, and I'm so much more comfortable with Miller as a supplementary 100%. Guy.
Exactly.
Okay, at 4, I'm struggling. My 4 and 5 really are tough because 5, the ceiling, I like so much more. But 4, I will go Derek Lively. I
You gotta
like
go Derek Lively here.
Yeah, I like Lively a lot, and we've seen him be an enormously like if he was in a normal rookie class, if he wasn't in like the Wemby Chet Rookie of the Year battle, he would have been a crazy headline. Like rookie center steps up and helps the Mavs all the way to the finals, and he's really good every step of the way. And the ceiling here, it's not like he is like not going to get better. There's a lot of room to grow on both ends of the floor for him.
Yeah. Okay. At 5, I'll go the other one. Give me a Sar. I think he's past the blood clot stuff. His development got slowed down. He's a better defender than a man. I still think he has a incredibly high ceiling.
Yeah. It's crazy how people like so many people just don't acknowledge the blood clot thing. Where like he could not play for a lot of this season because he had
his life was fucked for a year and people think he's just like not good. Like that's a big deal.
He was in the hospital while Amen was in the gym, and it's like, dude, what the fuck?
He was worried about his arteries. I don't think the jump shot development was on top of mind.
Yeah. So I'm cool with that. So what that was 5?
Yep, we're at 6.
Okay, at 6, I want to go Bilal Coulibaly. He is
real ceiling play, huh?
He's good now. Once Kuzma's off the Wizards, you'll all see he's good. I think he's.
I promise.
Yeah, he's not the athlete that Amen and Asar are, definitely, but he is in the mold of like very springy, very lengthy, already high impact defensive wing who has a lot of like flashes of juice on the ball.
I love me some players with length, and he has a lot of it.
Yeah. I mean,
give me all that wingspan.
But at the same, he's good. He's solid. The ceiling is what we're drafting on here. He has not necessarily been a part of like a winning environment or even like a good team or anything.
It's actually been disastrous, quite literally.
But I fuck.
What's the opposite?
I'm cool with taking him here.
It's been that.
It's literally Paul George, guys. You'll see in a few years. It's literally Paul George.
French Paul George. You know what they say about the bias towards European players? If you get French Paul George, it's going to get a lot of MVP votes.
All right. Who you got at 7?
At 7, I'm going to go for someone who's just good now. Maybe lower ceiling. Give me Case and Wallace.
Yeah, that's where I went as well.
It's going to be a fantastic role player for a long time.
Yeah. At 8, another ceiling play here. I feel like I will go Gigi Jackson. I feel like
that's a good one.
Yeah. He fell huge in this draft because he was supposed to be a lottery pick in the next draft. He like reclassified and everything, and he didn't have a great 1 year at college or whatever. Really productive season for the completely destroyed Memphis Grizzlies last year, and he's just worked his way back onto the court, but a ton of juice as a shooter, and he is more in the offensive mode of that wing archetype that we've been glazing this entire redraft.
This is a big swing. He might be amazing, or you might be like, I probably should have picked him 7 picks later, but I respect it.
Yeah. There's a world where he's like, I don't know, like Paul George or whatever, but there's a world where he's Jeremy Grant too, and it's like, oh man, okay.
These last 2 spots are tough. There's an old rookie. I want to pick Tumani Kamara, but he's 24, so he's probably gonna get lapped by some of these guys.
I would not pick him. He's cool. I like him, but I'm not taking him.
I'll go Grady Dick at 9. I think he'll be a really good shooter. The Raptors, he started off hot, hasn't been so hot as of late. But I see the vision with that shooter with that length.
Yeah, it's tough because it seemed like he took a big on-ball leap this season. It seemed like he kind of exploded onto the scene. Damn, Dick on ball leap exploded is crazy. But he had a really good start to this season where he was doing a lot of like offensive carrying, not just finishing plays. But
he looked like Devin Booker.
Yeah, he looked really good, and I think he can be a version of that player. It's just that like RJ returns, Scotty returns, quickly returns, all of this stuff goes right for them, and that's not his job anymore. And so I think the ceiling is here, and he will be. It's a lot easier to find a spot in the league when you're that good of a shooter. Yeah.
Okay, where we go with last pick, number 10.
I went
one guy who's not on here. That's quite the omission.
Hey. I'll say this: the first 2 seasons for point guards, not canon. They don't count. But I'll still go Cam Whitmore here, just because I feel like it's not as big of a swing as Scoot Henderson is. Like Scoot, he had a cool couple weeks. It seems like he's moving in the right direction, but I just like Cam Whitmore more as like I don't know,
over
scorer.
Pods.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, you could take him at 11. I'll leave you Pods, man.
Good thing we're stopping at 10.
Oh, that's so funny. You texted me. You were like, bad class, low key. It's fine, but it's not as good as I remember. Wemby, rose-colored glasses here.
It was a great class. I mean, it still could be, but Scoot really not living up to what was thought was going to be like an all-star guard. That makes it tough. Mm-hmm. Brandon Miller could still be an all-star. Most people are higher on him than I am so far. I just got to see a little more, though I'm not out on him. That I think people see it as a W, but it's not an amazing number 2 W yet.
It's just tough because I feel like so much of his success, for a while at least, will be tied to whether or not LaMelo's on the floor. And that's just like such a big question mark right now that like he'll be fine without LaMelo, but I don't think we'll ever see a version of Brandon Miller that's like, holy shit, he's here. If you get like a 35-game season out of LaMelo. I feel like they have to kind of go hand in hand.
Okay. So last section of this video, we talked about all these different things relating to a man in the current day, in the future, all these things, looking back at him and his peers. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the Rockets' playoff success, like playoff outlook this year with this new version of a man added to the mix? Extra juice. They're super deep. They're an elite defense, all this. Do you see them doing damage in the playoffs this season?
I'm split. Where I think in like a first round matchup, there will be people who don't take them seriously, and the things that they do so well will carry them through a matchup. Like I think they'd beat like I feel like the Lakers or whoever. All
right, man.
I'm sorry. Who's like the 7th seed right now?
Is it Clippers?
Yeah, okay. I think they would beat the Clippers too. I'll go out on a limb and say that. But I do
7th seed is currently Minnesota.
Ooh, I'll still go Houston here. Okay. It would be a fun series though. I think they can win a first round series with the stuff that they just do well right now. I just think that when you talk about the playoffs and you talk about the game slowing down and generating a lot more half court offense, and you talk about playing some of the best players in the league, maybe some players that no matter how good you defend them, they're still going to score, and you're just going to have to find ways to go back and forth with them over the course of like a full game or a full series.
That's the issue.
It gets really dicey really quick for Houston.
Yeah, I'm torn because I want to give them lots of respect because they just keep beating amazing teams in the regular season, and it's worthy of acknowledging that they're just a straight up good team that does it in a less traditional way. They just have a lot of good players, a good coach. They're winning through grit and hard work and determination. And they just want it better.
Red-blooded American team, you know? None of that like woke live basketball, you know? I'm just so sick of like, we don't even make 3-pointers around here. We just block shots, dude.
We just punch everybody in their motherfucking mouth. And they don't like it.
Body slam Tyler Hero. The entire city threw a parade. It's sick.
So like this team's overview, they're 10th in offense, which is better than most people think. 10th in offensive rating, right? That's like, you want to be top 10 in both. Good for them. 4th in defensive rating. They're elite. 1st in offensive rebound percentage. 7th in forcing turnovers. 2nd in second chance points. 25th in half-court offense.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. They're good at offense because they're amazing in transition. They're amazing at getting boards and scoring off of that and really maximizing each like time down the court. But not every possession. You know, they get more possessions every time down the court than everybody else, but they don't do a lot with each shot they take. 25th in half-court offense is a tough thing to deal with in a playoff setting. That matters way more than your transition attack. In a playoff setting where you have 7 games to try to adjust to somebody, transition is typically something you can take away like fairly consistently.
Yes. I would say transition like game 1 of the playoffs, it probably takes a hit. Like the way the game is played, it's you take a lot better care of the basketball. One thing that that has jumped out to me about this recent stretch is I think I wrote it down here. There's something like 6th in offense during this run. So yeah, in these 15 games, they're like a top 5 offense, really. And they've had games where prior to this stretch, when I called them super one-dimensional, I didn't think they could win a game 132 to 128 or something. That's where I really worried about them. And while they haven't been generating offense in like massively different ways since like their offense has kind of exploded, the fact that they've been winning these shootouts in like dicey situations has still made me more confident than I was in them. And so I agree with everything you said. And I think it will be like, if the recipe is we never let anyone score, we're great in transition, and we only score off like offensive rebounds or running, that's a nightmare for the playoffs. Like that, all of that shit is very tough to do in the postseason, but hey, maybe we'll see. Maybe we just don't know ball like that.
Transition offense is hard to maintain. Not impossible, though. It's a lot easier to maintain when you have this ridiculous talent there. When you have a Ben Thompson who is faster than everybody, he can get out and run even if teams don't want him to.
Yeah, catch me,
Sengun,
dude.
Who
Try,
can bring the ball up from the 5. Sengun's pretty fast for slow-footed 5s that are on him. If Gobert is guarding him in transition, Sengun will create transition matchups.
This tractor's pretty fast for a tractor, dude. It gets up.
For a tractor. But like, they're going to be able to run regardless. Maybe it'll be diminished a little bit. A lot of pressure is going to get put on their half-court shooting. They can probably do as best they can to just not help off of him and not give him these easy cuts. So Jalen Green, you better be shooting like shit. You better shoot the hell out of the basketball. Amen, you better make some jump shots. Dylan Brooks, you better have a heater. Fred VanVleet, you better not get locked up. Like, there's going to be a lot of pressure on these half-court shot makers. But
it's just like 6 straight names of like 39% from the field in the playoffs. Like, nobody you just said like is good at playoff scoring. So who knows? Who knows?
I think that they could make a conference finals. That's in the realm of possibility. I would expect the second round loss is more likely, maybe, and a finals appearance is probably impossible. But I would not. I also wouldn't expect a first round exit. Some people are going to predict that. I would not suggest that at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like their defense is genuinely so good that they could beat a mid team with it without having like a competent playoff offense. Or
and they
whatever.
can beat a good team. I don't think they can beat 3 straight good teams.
Yeah, like can they beat the Thunder?
Fuck no.
Fuck no. Absolutely. It's just
absolutely not.
Anything can happen. It would go against everything I've ever like learned or understood about basketball if that happened. But
barring injury, absolutely the fuck not.
Yeah.
But everybody else, there's a fighting chance.
Yeah. Except, Jokic or the Nuggets. Surprise.
Yeah, I was trying to set that up.
5 games. 5. I'll give Houston. They get a game. But beyond that, 5 quick games for the Nuggets.
Last thing I want to do before we get out of here, a little bonus content. I think now that we're done talking about everything serious in this world and everything serious relating to Ben Thompson, Ben Thompson has a good nickname along with Tari Eason. I'm going to show you several NBA nicknames, and I want you to rate it from 1 to 10.
All right. I just realized we didn't say Tari Eason's name this whole pod, so that's good.
I fucking love Tari Eason. I'm sorry, Tari.
I know. I feel bad. Like I'm just sitting here going, I don't like this guy. I don't like that guy. I don't like how they play. Tari Eason's one of like the most fun players in basketball. We didn't even talk about him.
And shout out his parents. His mom is super active on Twitter, and it's awesome. She's always arguing with people on his behalf. It's dope.
I love Tari Eason, so that's cool. I don't even need no smoke. Miss or Mrs. Eason.
Okay, so rate the nicknames 1 to 10. First off, we'll go with them. The Terror Twins for Amen Thompson and Tari Eason.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
What?
I just
how
don't.
Anticlimactic.
I don't know. I just don't feel like it has that much to do with like Houston or Rockets or Astros. Like I wanted something space themed for Amen Thompson when this all was coming together. I was like, yo,
astronomy nickname.
There's
fucking dork.
There's so much stuff here. There's so much cool stuff you could draw from. And then like Terror it's fine, I guess. But like
you want Big Dipper, Little Dipper, you dork.
Oh, that's good.
Terror Twins is awesome.
Low key, that's kind of hard. Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. Yeah, I want that on the call.
I'll give it 8 out of 10. It's a solid nickname. Those guys are fucking terrifying on the bench. 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm cool with it. I'll give it a 6. I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay. Ursa Minor.
Ursa Minor. That's Tari. Major Zaman. Sorry.
Nice. Okay. Bodega Cat for Karl Anthony Towns?
Oh, am I just gonna be a hater? I like this more than Big Purr, so I'll give this like
Well, certainly.
I'll give this a 7.5.
Big Purr is not a high bar to clear, so I'm with you. I'll give it a 7.5 or so.
Like
Listen,
the first,
is it on the nose? Is it hilariously corny? A little bit. Hey, if Knicks fans like it, I love it. I'm with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's clever.
And it's like, it fits him, you know? Like, if for everything you can say that's like, you know, nice about Cat, he is a little corny. And so a corny nickname, it's very on brand. It's fine. I'm cool with it.
Exactly. Speak to who he is and not who you want him to be. Love him for who he is.
Exactly.
There you go.
Wow, what a wonderful message. Damn, dude.
Brunson Burner for Jalen Brunson.
Oh, damn. I am going to sound like a nerd because I love this one.
Oh, you dork.
And it's a science one. Oh, no. This one's like an 8.5 for me because it rhymes. It uses his name really well. Uses his name way better than Terra Twins or Cat. And it's cool because like he is a guy who catches fire. And then he's like, he's the burner. He's on, dude. We're doing experiments. We're in the lab.
Oh,
man. Oh.
You're going to flashback to the fucking 10th grade chemistry class?
Absolutely.
Time of your life?
Yeah, I'm doing experiments. We're burning marshmallows to figure out how calories work. I remember that shit. I remember it all.
Okay, I'll give this one a 6 out of 10. It's fine. Not with that dork shit.
I get. Oh, Mr. Fucking. Hey, count how many stats we used in this video and comment it down below.
Count how many times I said percentile. Okay. The anomaly for Jason Tatum.
A 10. It's a 10. It's perfect. He dribbles better than everyone that size, but he's bigger than everyone who could dribble that. It just doesn't make any sense, dude. It's anomalous how good he is.
He's one of one.
Yeah. No.
What I love is this tweet went viral for calling him this. Everybody clowned it. I think it's sticking. They put it on his Basketball Reference page. This is a legitimate nickname now. He is the anomaly.
It's the anomaly, dude. And Basketball Reference only does real nicknames, guys. Go look up what like Dwayne Wade has on his. I'm sure it's all real stuff you've heard him called before.
9 out of 10. I'm with it. It was bred into this world through corniness, but it's stuck, and I'm here for it. Sometimes you got to just jam shit down everybody's throat and just make them accept it, and then you get a nickname that's here forever.
If we get like a sick ass run out of Tatum, like a real anomaly pilled run, and they get to start calling him that, and it's for real and it's not a joke anymore, it would be cool. Like to see it come around into like unironically, he's an anomaly. That would be fun.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get your opinion on this one. Hillbilly Kobe.
You know,
how do you feel as a Caucasian man? What is your perspective on this?
I like Hillbilly Kobe. I don't think Hillbilly's the same as like, it's not like Honky Kobe or anything. Like, it's just, Hillbilly, especially because he's from Missouri or whatever. I like it. I think it's very apt. It's like kind of like the hick from French Lick pilled, you know, with Larry Bird.
What is that? Who's that?
That's Larry Bird. You never heard? Oh my God, dude.
I'm not up to date on my white terms. I'm sorry.
Fake.
I don't have the glossary.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's what they used to call Larry Bird, the hick from French Lick. And so to me, it's very in line with the rest of that. I'll give this like an 8 out of 10. It's not the best I've ever heard, but I like it a lot, especially for a guy who's not like an all-star. You know, it's cool when those guys get good nicknames.
Out of respect for your culture, I'll go 9 out of 10.
Hell yeah. Solidarity, baby. I need to do some spoken word poetry about some, like, I don't know, dips, white people shit. I don't know.
Zen.
Yeah, hell yeah. Upper deckies, baby.
I've never said that term a day in my life.
I don't
Nobody
toss,
I know has said
but
it.
like I've been around. I don't know. Whenever I get into an
I don't toss. Is that what you said? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, they toss it in. That's what they call it. It's just the worst people imaginable. It's not. It's like no one has ever done that and then done something cool or fun.
They've never been a good person.
Yeah. Wait, whatever. Maybe I'm wrong.
If we're still here, what should people comment?
Oh man. I don't want to say solidarity with white people because then the comments will go crazy. That can't be it. That can't be it.
Don't comment that. Comment, shout out Hillbilly Kobe.
Shout out
And
to
we'll see
Hillbilly
y'all
Kobe.
for the next
There you go.
episode.